Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us here tonight on Health Talk. We have been off of the airways for a few months, but we are excited to be back here tonight, and we are elated to have our guest speaker on tonight, someone that some of you may be familiar with, Miss Tracy from a previous podcast that we have live. And she has so graciously agreed to come back and talk to us again. And we are excited to have her. Many of you remember her from the last podcast that we have. We had a very informative podcast with a lot of information that she presented to us. And we're just excited to have her here tonight again as our guest. And we are also excited to have our project manager with us tonight, Ms. Deirdre Willis. Um, she may have to jump off, you all, but we're excited that she's able to come in on our initial introduction and everything, and we're glad to have her. Uh, Again, Health Talk is a part of He Cares Training and Education Center, where yours truly is the program manager, and Ms. Deirdre Willis, I say, is our project manager. Um, so, with that being said, we will bring on board Miss Tracy. And let me see if I can get Miss Willis on board. I know I can. I just got to learn how to do it, y'all. All right. All right. Can you all see me?
Yes,
Yes.
Hi,
you
Miss
look got it.
Tracy. How are you tonight? Miss Willis, how
Yeah.
are you tonight?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good, and we thank you for being able to jump on here with us for a little while. We know that you're going to have to jump off shortly, but we appreciate you for being here with us tonight. And we are just so uh, happy. Miss Tracy, let's give Miss Tracy a big round of applause.
You feel so good.
Hi, Miss Tracy. We're so happy to have you here tonight. How are you doing tonight?
I am amazing. I am so excited to be
Thank you.
here.
Yes,
Any opportunity I have to run my mouth, I'm going to take advantage of it.
we're excited to have you here as well. And I think your topic tonight you're going to be discussing with us is heart health. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And
I
we're going
figured
to
that
show
would
you.
go good with February. I mean, even though we're at the end of the month, you say I got my red heart popping.
Awesome, awesome. And Miss Harris, if Miss Tracy, if you will, your volume, if you can just give us a little bit more volume,
Yeah. Hold on.
just a little, and it may just be my end.
Hold on. Let's see what I got up here. Sound. Okay, I just put it at the maximum, I think.
That's
Technology is not my thing. So is that better?
that's better. That's
Okay.
better. And for those of you that are watching, and those of you that may be joining us a little later, if you have any question that you would like to ask Miss Tracy, please feel free to type your question into the comment section. Once that is presented there, we will make the comments available to Miss Tracy so that she can provide you a response to your question in real time. All right. Before we turn this over to Miss Tracy, we're going to ask Miss Willis, our project manager, if she would have anything to say at this moment.
No, I'm just so glad to see Miss J Cox again. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
I
So
appreciate
just
that. It's good
yeah.
to see you guys too. It's like just family getting back
I
together.
know like it's a family reunion and not so much a podcast for us. So
Right, right. Family reunion.
it's a blessing. It's a
It
blessing.
is a blessing. All right. So at this time, Miss Tracy, we are going to turn it over to you uh, to go ahead and start our podcast. And again, for those of you that are just now joining us, if you have any question that you would like to ask Miss Tracy, please feel free to type your question in the comment section. And once that is presented, we will make it available to Ms. Tracy that she will provide you a response to your question in real time. And as our disclaimer, we are not here to prescribe any type of medication or make any type of diagnosis. We're here to provide you with health education and health information. Tonight, our topic will be heart health. And Miss Tracy, we will turn it now over into your hands.
Thank you so much. It is such a blessing to be here. I do not take this platform for granted. So thank you for keeping me in mind and trusting me to educate your audience. That really means a lot to me, and I love you guys for that. So I chose heart health because, like I said, it falls into, February usually kicks off heart health month. And I would like to remind us all that even though we have certain months, for certain things, this is, January is this, February is this, we have to keep in mind, we must keep in mind that we have to keep whatever our health is first and foremost. I don't care if it's a holiday, I don't care what month it is. We must make our health a priority. And I don't know the makeup of the audience, but especially in the African American community, I mean in all communities, but especially our community, because we are dying way too young from preventable events. and at a younger age, and we tend to contract the most aggressive forms of things. So this platform is so important. But like I said, health is important to everybody. But and it falls into Black History Month too, right? So we might as well just lump that all together too. You
Yes.
know, there is no history period without us, but there is no Black history without the Black family. So
Exactly.
with that being said, my topic is heart failure or healthy future, adjusting the trajectory of our health. And I chose this subject or the title because so many times when we're diagnosed with anything, not just heart disease, but whether it's high blood pressure or diabetes or whatever, um, the typical script is to come in, the doctor puts you on a medication, and the conversation is to give you the potential side effects, and you're going to have to be on this medication for the rest of your life. And for me, coming from a holistic perspective, mind, body, and spirit, we know that there's a lot of myths out there about that, and that we have the power to heal ourselves. So when it comes to the traditional Western kind of practice of medication, well, medicine, medication seems to be the conversation and not getting back to nature and those things that are natural. So what I want to do tonight is to um, challenge us all to know that you don't have to be on medications um, for the rest of your life. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a, room for medication because sometimes people may need to be on medications, but I personally feel that they are overprescribed, and it also gives people a false sense of security because the bottom line is we really need to be making those changes to really optimize our health and wellness. So, that being said, I want to first of all ask your audience to be willing to unlearn to relearn. In other words, we need to do a brain dump because over the years, especially in our age group, we've been taught that certain things, once you have it, that's it. You're on the medications, that's it. So I want to challenge us all that a lot of things that we learned or we grew up believing is not necessarily true. And I also want to challenge us that we need to have a different conversation when we're diagnosed with something. And this might be controversial for some people because this seems to be, and I'm not going to call it a buzzword because they do use it as a diagnosis, but like anything with the pre, meaning before, so pre-diabetes or pre-hypertension, meaning pre-blood, high blood pressure. So here's my challenge to all of us. We have to change our mindset from a holistic point of view about what true health is. And for me, coming from a holistic perspective, either you're diabetic or you're not. Either you have high blood pressure or you don't. So I really think we need to challenge ourselves to kind of get rid of the pre. And if your blood sugar is a certain level, you need to treat it like if your doctor has diagnosed you with pre-diabetes, you really need to look at that. Okay, I'm diabetic. So my kind of mantra is 5.7 is the new seven. So we need to get our blood sugars to a normal um, level because you're still at pretty much the same risk of somebody that's diabetic. So, what does that have to do with heart disease? Well, diabetes, pre-diabetes is one of the top causes of heart disease. So, we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And please, if anybody out there has any questions, please put it in the chat, and I will definitely work on getting to that as soon as I'm able to see it. So, if, Ferris or Deidre, if you don't mind, let me know if a question comes across. I'll be more than happy to answer it in real time if at all possible. So, the name of the talk tonight is Heart Failure, a Healthy Future, adjusting the trajectory of our health. So, the most, hold on, let me go back here. So, let's talk about heart disease in the United States. So, it may be no surprise that heart disease is the leading cause of death in men and women. And I'm just talking about the United States, but probably even globally. You know, it's a real health issue, and like I said, especially in our community because we're getting heart attacks and heart disease younger and younger and younger and younger. So it's a definite concern. One person dies every 34 seconds from heart disease, and then one in every five deaths is from heart disease. So that's pretty staggering. Coronary artery disease, I refer to that as CAD, is the most common type of heart disease in the United States. And this is what I was really, really surprised to learn. Over 20 million adults aged 20 years and older have coronary artery disease.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to have to put
Wow.
I can't just gloss over that without going a little more into detail. Over 20 million adults aged 20 and older, 20 and
Wow.
older have coronary artery disease. So, what does that tell us? You know, and I challenge people to kind of put on their critical thinking caps and common sense type of cap and really think about this. 20 and older. 20, you're just really getting out of your teenage years.
Yes.
So, we really have to understand that when it comes to any health issues, these issues start developing when we're young. Like, like I'm saying young, like 5, 6 years old young. So we just don't end up with heart disease. And I think if we have an honest conversation with ourselves, um, the things that I see being older didn't occur when I was growing up. Like we didn't have a lot of fast food. There was no 24-hour access to food. Like you have the 24-hour fast food where you can go to the easy access. The grocery stores even closed down at a certain time, and they weren't even open on Sundays back in the day. And we didn't have like buffets and things like that. So it's just a lot. We grew up with a garden, my parents, my mom, she cooked, so going to even McDonald's or somewhere like that was a treat. We didn't eat like chips and all of this processed foods and things like that. So it's a definite concern, and I'm glad to see that more women are getting back to breastfeeding because we're not really breastfeeding like we should. So that's another thing too. But so a lot of young people have coronary artery disease, and a lot of young people are being diagnosed with typically diseases of older adults. I mean, you have not babies, but young people, 10, 11, 12, with diabetes and high blood pressure and things like that. So it's a definite concern.
But I have one comment.
Yeah.
It made me think about something that our as technology advances, we as a people are falling behind in terms of our health.
Yeah,
True.
that is true. And it should be interesting too that the United States have one of the worst child mortality rates. We
Exactly.
have some third world countries that have better birth rates than we do
Right.
as a industrialized sort country. So it's a concern. So thank you for bringing that point. It does seem like the more technology we have, the more health issues we have. When you think about the radiation that's emitted through the 5G, and then I saw a commercial recently about 10G, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Wow.
So we don't even think about the cell phones, radiation being emitted through that. microwave. A lot of people don't even cook meals. They eat microwavable meals and things like that. So we don't even think about even something as simple as microwaves have a, emit um, radiation, and then we're eating that, and the TV and things like that, and then just the things in the environment. So it's a definite concern, and that is true. It seems like the more technology we get, it's like the worse our health is.
And
So
I think the pandemic kind of, and not trying to shift gears, but I
mhm,
think the pandemic kind of revealed and gave everybody that opportunity. It was a blessing in disguise in a sense because it gave everybody an opportunity to stop and slow down and say, hey, working from home is possibly a good thing. There's perks to it. you
mhm,
know, Being able, stores closing earlier at night, there's a benefit of that. Now I'm cooking. These
mhm,
fast food restaurants are open now. I have to cook.
mhm.
Now, so many
Right.
people, even including myself, start planting a garden because I had the time and enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So,
we need to, it's a just peace be still. Like sometimes we just need to be still, but all of us are in the healthcare field, and the stress of you got to get patients through, and it's like you only got so much time,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
just so high stress, and then you only got this, and if they're running late or so it's just all of this stress. It's a lot of stress. So like you said, in a lot of ways, the pandemic was a blessing in disguise for a lot of people. It forced us to kind of slow down. And you know what? I think those places that used to be open 24 hours, I think they're closing at 11 still.
like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Walmart,
think they're,
I
yeah,
know
I
that
don't
they
think
are.
you can find a 24-hour Walmart anymore because I think they're still closing at 11, which I'm not opposed to that. Like we should be home and in bed or shutting things down, winding things down anyway. So we need to, realize that we are with the cycle of the sun. So as the sun goes down, we need to pay attention to that. We need to be winding down. We need to be disconnecting from our electronics and things like that and getting ready for bed because our body needs to regenerate itself. So there's a purpose of slowing down. So yeah.
And Miss Tracy, going back to the number that you mentioned about I think you said 20 to 30 something having being diagnosed with CAD.
Mhm.
Why do you think that number is so high, and what can we do as healthcare educators and providers to help reduce that percentage and number?
That's a very excellent question. I think the first thing that we could do is I think we need to really educate ourselves because um, when you go through medical school, we're not learning about educating people about nutrition and portion sizes and things like that. So, what we're taught is when somebody has a diagnosis, like whether it's diabetes or high blood pressure, whatever it is, our knee jerk reaction is to, okay, well, we're going to start them on this medication. We're going to explain to them, the side effects and things like that. So what I feel that we need to do in the healthcare field is to number one educate ourselves on a holistic perspective. And when I say that, it's just simply getting back to nature, right? It's nothing other than we've gotten away from breastfeeding. We've gotten away from not eating as much fruits and vegetables as we need to. We don't drink water like we need to. We're not in the sun like we need to because, we're not doing those outdoorsy things. Like we're not working the land anymore because, like you said, because of all the technology, now we're more indoors. And so we just need to just get back to nature, simple things, just educate people about portion control and half your half your nutrition needs to be from plants. And if possible, the majority of that uncooked because once we cook, our foods, it denatures it and it takes away some of the nutrients and that we need. So even that. So just baby steps and just taking the time to just educate. I think education is so important from a uh, just getting back to nature, like Deidre said. Consider planting a garden. It don't have to be a
Right.
huge garden. Just start with a container, like one little tomato plant or something like that, and start from there. You know, you can't walk very well or you're in pain. Well, okay, do some chair exercises or do some stretches or do some yoga, do some deep breathing and things like that. And so, like I tell my clients, um, baby steps. If you just make one or two
Right.
changes at a time, and then you build from there, you would be amazed how that would change the trajectory of your health. So I think we just need to take the time to educate our patients about getting back to nature and helping them to find ways to, hack their health, so to speak. So if they have a busy, we got a lot of single parents, single moms, whatever that looks like for them, kind of help them find a workaround, whether it's a financial um, way. Some people are on a fixed income, some people are underemployed, and things like that. So we have to educate them that it's not expensive to eat
Right.
organic or healthy. Some people are like, oh, but it costs so much to eat healthy, and I'm like, okay. So what is the most expensive grocery item that you put in your grocery bag? I guarantee you it's meat.
Yeah.
I guarantee you it's meat.
That's true.
I know it's true. So don't tell me it's expensive to eat healthy. So you can eat less meat. You can make your meat stretch, you know, because 3 ounces is the serving size. 3 to 4 ounces is the serving size of most cuts of meat. And like I tell people, when was the last time you had a 3 ounce steak? So we're eating way, way, way too much animal products in our diet. So to encourage them to, even if it's not fresh, let's do frozen and things like that. I definitely shy away from cans because um, it's just usually so much sodium, even the salt free. They're usually in aluminum cans and then they're soaking up the aluminum, which is not good for us either. So I usually push fresh or frozen and just educate. I think it's so important to educate, and people trust what we tell them. They look to us for answers. But
Right.
I think it's good to have a diverse, like to diversify our knowledge because you have dietitians that are teaching more traditional, what they've been taught, but it's so diverse now. People are going plant-based, they're doing Mediterranean, they're doing keto, so I think we need to kind of be diverse as well in our education and not just have one way or one mindset when it comes to educating our patients.
Right. So,
So that was
so
a great question. I hope
with
I
that
answered.
being said, do you think that like a holistic course would be beneficial as part of a curriculum for educating healthcare providers like physicians, nurse practitioners, and physician themselves? Do you think a holistic course will be beneficial added to the curriculum?
Absolutely. I think it's necessary, even in nursing school. I think anytime you go into any kind of healthcare field, whether you're a dietitian, they need to be trained on the plant based or this or that. But yeah, absolutely. Nurses, mid levels, physicians. And here's the thing, it should not matter what your specialty is. I don't care if you're a cardiologist. I don't care if you're a nephrologist. I don't care if you're a primary care provider. Everybody needs to have a foundation because here's the thing, we say, okay, well, I got this heart issue. Well, I have a cardiologist, which is a heart doctor, or I got a kidney issue, so I'm gonna go to the nephrologist, which is a kidney specialist, or I got this issue. But here's the thing: Everything is connected.
Right.
So when we
Right.
focus on, for me, holistically, a whole food plant-based lifestyle, it's not just going to correct the blood pressure or the diabetes. Like, it's going to put everything in your body back into balance,
Right.
not just one thing. It's going to reset everything, and that's what we have to understand. Now, it's not a one size fit all thing, because there may be certain things depending on the patient's background and things like that. But for the most part, a whole food plant based lifestyle definitely can help improve or reverse anything, including certain cancers. And that's been proven, and studies have shown that even certain cancers. So even a cancer is not necessarily a death sentence.
Right.
So yeah, thank you for that. Those great
Mm-hmm.
questions. So let me see here. So any other questions before I move on?
Not at this time.
Okay, I just have some highlights. Are we doing okay on time?
Yes, we're doing good.
Okay, I just want to go over some heart attack symptoms. And I want to point out too that it is possible to have a heart attack without chest pain. So I think we really need to understand that. I think sometimes you see the guy gripping the chest. That's the typical thing, universal heart attack type of thing. And in a lot of cases, it's a silent killer. Like, you might not have any symptoms. So just be aware of that too. That's why just taking care of ourselves and investing in our health is just so important. So some of the heart attack symptoms are neck, jaw, shoulder, upper back, lower back, or upper abdomen or belly discomfort, shortness of breath, pain in one or both arms. It doesn't have to be just pain in your left arm, because our hearts are, on the left side of our chest, on the left side of our bodies. It could be your right arm, or it could be either or. So just make a note of that too. Nausea or vomiting, sweating, lightheaded or dizziness, unusual fatigue, and heartburn or indigestion. How many times have you heard, oh man, I thought I was just having a little heartburn or indigestion, and that person actually was having a heart attack? Now, sometimes indigestion is indigestion, but how do you know?
Right.
So I have a saying: if you wait, it might be too late. So don't be trying to figure out if your little heartburn is really heartburn or heart attack. Just go. Like, go get it checked out. Go to an urgent care, go to the ER, or go somewhere. Don't just sit there and wait, because if you wait, it may be too late for them to do anything about it. Or your outcome will be, worse than if you just, if it's okay, it's nothing. You get your, what do they give them, privacy or whatever, and you move on. You get your numbers on and move on. But you don't want to mess around. You only have one heart in one life. You don't want to mess around with that. And I
Right.
will say too, diabetics, because there's a lot of nerve damage and things like that. So there's a lot of decreased sensitivity and things like that. So it's very important, if you're diabetic, as well, to really, really know your body, because a lot of times diabetics really, especially diabetic women, have atypical symptoms. So you have to really, really be aware of that. Any other questions before we go on? How are we doing? How's the audience doing?
Okay. Is anyone in the audience, you that are viewing, if you have any questions, please feel free to type your question into the comment section, and we will make that question available to Ms. Tracy to provide you a response in real time. So please feel free to just go ahead and ask your questions by presenting them in the comment section.
Okay, and I'm gonna go while we're waiting on that. I'm gonna go over some risk factors. High cholesterol is a risk factor for heart disease, and this is specifically for heart disease. High blood pressure, obesity, and overweight, um, Women with diabetes are more likely to develop heart disease than men with diabetes. Emotional distress, emotional stress and depression, and stress and depression affects women's hearts more. Smoking. Smoking is a greater risk factor for heart disease in women than in men. And I'm gonna put a little asterisk right here too about smoking. And I'm seeing this vaping thing is out of control.
Hmm.
And people are dying from vaping. I think people really need to understand that vaping is not safe. And I see a lot of young people vaping. I mean, middle school, like young people. So they really need to understand, and parents and grandparents and caregivers, you really need to have a conversation with your young ones about this, because people are dying at a young age or dying period from vaping. So I think there's this false sense of security that vaping is safer than smoking and things like that, and it's not. It's as equally harmful. And so, also when it comes to smoking, people think about, um, usually the association is lung cancer. But here's the thing: when you smoke, a lot of people don't even make it to get lung cancer because they die from a stroke or a heart attack first.
Exactly.
So we have to keep that in mind. Smoking just don't increase the risk of lung cancer. It increases the risk of stroke and heart attack, which you're likely to die from at a younger age before you even get old enough to get lung cancer. So I wanted to kind of do a sidebar about smoking and vaping. And marijuana is no, I know people gonna mumble and grumble about because people love their weed, but it's not safe either. But that's another, we can agree to disagree, but that's not that topic tonight. Maybe, in the future we can have a different conversation. So, you can be mad at Miss Tracy, but marijuana, they say, oh, it's from the plant, and once you change the chemical composition, once you burn something, it releases all these toxins and things like that. It is no longer a natural plant. So we really, really need to understand that. I'm not saying that it don't ease your anxiety and some of the things that people say that it does for them, but marijuana is not safe either. So don't be mad at Miss Tracy. I'm just a messenger. All right. So physical inactivity. As you can imagine, you got to get up. If you work a sedentary job, if you work in the office, make it a point to kind of get up and stretch your legs, kind of, walk around, get some kind of activity. Now, when we talk about physical activity, of course, we want to work at least 30 minutes a day if possible, and kind of get your heart rate up a little bit where you're kind of a little out of breath. But do something, like, even if you have some aches and pains or had some arthritis or had some hip replacements or whatever, there's a workaround for everything. So you can do the chair, like the sit and be fit, things like that. So you just have to, it's all about this right here. It's about our mindset and our determination. So we have to keep that in mind. It's a workaround for everything. I think people get so caught up in, just being in pain and being in that condition for so long that they can't really see themselves, working out or doing certain things. But you can do it. And I'm going to challenge you to do that if you're inactive. Okay, menopause. So women, especially women, as we age, as we go through menopause, we lose our estrogen, and estrogen is actually protective from heart attacks. But as we lose the estrogen, then our risk of having a heart attack significantly increases, um, especially in the smaller blood vessels. Pregnancy complications. If someone had high blood pressure or diabetes during pregnancy, it increases their risk of heart disease. Family history of early heart disease. And this appears to be a greater risk in women than men. And actually, one of my friends has this story. She has a twin. As a matter of fact, she just had what do you call it when they crack your chest open and oh, what is it? The quadruple, like a bypass.
Quadruple bypass.
Bypass.
Yeah,
Cabbage.
yeah, she had to have, and she's in her 50s.
Oh wow.
And her mom, I think, was 51 when she had to have a bypass. And then her twin sister, I believe, has stents. But yeah, so just seeing her like that, like they take stuff from your neck and from your legs and different body parts, and it's kind of like that game Operation, like they mixing and matching and patching people back together. I said, "Oh Lord, that kind of re-inspired me to be like, hey, okay, let me let me tighten up. I'm good, but let me tighten up." 'Cause I'm like, I don't want to go through this. But it can run in families. So and it's pretty serious too. Okay, what does Lakeisha say? Thank you for your question, Lakeisha.
Working out can sometimes be a challenge. I tend I tend to obtain inflammation. Any suggestions?
Okay. So it sounds like she might have been diagnosed maybe with some kind of inflammatory disease, maybe. Is that what you're saying?
Uh,
Like that she I think that's what she's saying. I think
right,
because she has an inflammatory condition, working out can be a challenge because people with inflammatory conditions such as lupus and things like that
right.
tend to have flare ups and pains. And yes, Lakeisha, I have several suggestions. What you got, Deidre?
For me, someone who lives with an autoimmune condition, oh, she
Hmm.
says no diagnosis. But
Oh, so how
for
does she know she have
anyone,
inflammation?
probably the soreness, I imagine. But I was gonna suggest turmeric, um, and just making simple changes in the diet, less meat. I don't know your thoughts on that, Tracy, but for me, just and I can't say I can only say what works for me.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
reducing to yeah soreness and swelling, but reducing the amount of red meat to none. Um, for me, had I have in pork, I have very little joint pain, and that works for me. I do a strict vitamin regimen, increasing water, reducing sugar. Like
That's
if
probably the
I
biggest
know
thing.
Yeah.
if I know I ate something with a lot of sugar, then the next day I'm gonna feel it. Um, me personally, but I would say start light with the exercise, and that would help. Don't I mean if we've not to be sarcastic, but if you're not running don't start out the first day you walk for an entire mile. Do one small portion of that and then build on that every day.
And I'm just gonna add on. I know I need to increase my water. I don't do a lot of sugar. Okay. What exercises do you currently do, Lakeisha? And I'm gonna say this while I'm waiting on her to type. People think, typical sugar. Well, anything white is going to our body's going to recognize as sugar. So I also have another saying: if it's white, it ain't right. So we need to get anything right, white out of our diets. Because here's the thing: processed food. I'm serious. Processed foods, our bodies recognize that and processes that as sugar. So sometimes we just think regular, white sugar. No, it's the processed things that we eat. Because here's the thing: if we eat processed stuff, Here's the trifecta that they use: sugar, salt, and oils, right? To keep us addicted. She says a lot of walking and elliptical. I'm going to actually suggest, along with if you're eating a lot of inflammatory foods or acidic foods, like Deidre said, to definitely work on easing them or minimizing them in your diet, but especially anything white. That means potatoes, that means rice, that means pasta, even beans. Even though beans aren't rice, they can be inflammatory. So grains and beans and things like that. So to limit that in your diet as well. And I'm going to also suggest that you, Miss Tracy been doing this for a while, y'all. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm telling you what you need to know. I told you. She said, "Oh boy, it might be the white." It usually is. It usually is. So now you can write it on your post-it notes and post them everywhere. If it's white, it ain't right. But also maybe consider investing in a gym that has a pool in it. Water is really good, and you can get a
Water
really good
aerobics.
in the water aerobics. So maybe consider investing. I think if you're having joint pain and inflammation and things like that, I think walking in the elliptical may be a little harsh on your body. And I don't know how old you are, and I don't need to know how old you are. She said, "LOL." But I guarantee you, within the first week, you will notice a difference. I also have a healthy living support group, and one of our challenges was a sugar detox. And part of that sugar detox was removing anything white. We had very strict, guidelines as far as what we can eat and things like that. And I tell you, people were saying, "Okay, my gym has a pool. Is it Move Fitness or another one, or the Y or something like that?" And is she able to go to a um, a water class that they have available for her? Like a lot of times, if people work, they might not have an evening water class. A lot of times, the water classes are in the morning, and a lot of retirees and people like that usually participate in the water class. But I definitely would want you to check out the water, the buoyancy, and everything that's better for your joints and things like that. But 80 to 85% of our health is what we put in our mouth. So I can almost guarantee you, if you remove those things that are white from your diet, you're gonna feel a whole lot better. And acidic foods can do that too, like Deidre said. So animal products um, is morning classes. Okay, but it can be a workaround. And she can take down my information and we can maybe do a one-on-one or something and to so Deidre, do you mind putting my number in the chat? And Lakeisha, if you call me, don't text me, call me and leave me a message. It's 833-678-7229.
So, what's the
I don't
first number again?
833-678-7229. And then if you don't mind also putting my email down there too. Yep. 833-678-7229. So that's my number. Reach out to me, Miss Tracy. And then my email is original, ORIGINAL, origins, ORIGINSHW @gmail.com. and then I can get more specific and detailed information because one size does not fit all. But I guarantee Miss Tracy got you. I got to work around for everything. Yep, thank you. So anybody having any questions, that's my contact information. Call and leave a message. That does not have texting capability. You're welcome, Lakeisha. We're gonna get you right. And then the last one was for the risk factors is inflammatory diseases. And oh, we appreciate you. So like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and the other inflammatory and autoimmune diseases. And those can improve too. You're gonna have your flare ups and things like that. Like I said, but we got to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. We have to start with the first step. So I have wrote down a couple of. I'm glad we touched on sugar and we touched on starches. Um, because you can have a normal. What I found is that you can have a normal A1C, which is your 90-day average of blood sugar. Um, but you can have underlying what's called hyperinsulinemia, meaning high insulin levels, which is insulin resistance, which also leads to not just heart disease, but cancers and autoimmune conditions and high blood pressure. You know, so many people have come to me like, Miss Tracy, I gave up salt and I did this and my blood sugar, my blood pressure's still high. Well, you're not giving up the processed foods and the things that are, tend to give us high insulin levels and insulin resistance and sugar and things like that. And so once they tend to remove that from the diet or decrease it, the blood pressure normally goes down. So um, keeping that in mind. So 8:19, man, the time goes by so fast, y'all. Um, so I like to leave with these three thoughts. Um, my first one is we cannot expect the environment that made us sick to heal us. I'm going to say that again because I think it bears repeating. I think it's worth repeating. We cannot expect the environment that made us sick to heal us. So many times as a provider, people come to me like, and Deidre could probably attest to this, hey, fix me, fix me, fix me. Nope, that's not how that works. This is not, and that's part of, like I said, we need to unlearn to relearn
Right.
because we can heal ourselves. I can give you the tools and the information to get you where you need to be, but you're going to have to do the work. So, how many times have you heard or even maybe yourself, you're on the medication, at some point, hey, it ain't working no more. My blood pressure it was okay, and now it's getting out of control again. So what happens? You go to the doctor, they increase the blood pressure, and then they add another one on,
Yeah.
and things like that. Well, the reason it's not getting better is because you have not made the necessary changes, and goes back to what Ferris was talking about. What we can do as people in the healthcare field, we can educate ourselves so we can better equip our patients, so we can empower them to make the changes they need to make so they can heal themselves.
Right.
You could pray all day long, but if you're not making those changes, and I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm a spiritual person. I believe in the power of prayer, but even the Bible says what faith without works is dead. You can
It's
have
dead.
all the faith
Yeah.
that you want to, but if you ain't putting that work in,
Yeah.
and yep, I'm seeing my neck grow, then it's not gonna do anything. And I even say, they say knowledge is power. No, yeah, knowledge is information, but the real power comes in the application of the knowledge. Because we all know what we need to be doing. How
Right.
many times we eat something like, I know I don't need to be eating this, or I know I don't need to be doing this.
Hmm. Yeah.
We have the information. We know the things that we should and shouldn't do when
Right.
it comes to our health. But because number one, we're addicted, And we think of an addict as that crackhead or that person on heroin or alcohol, strung out like that. But baby, we might as well raise our hand. My name is Tracy, and I'm an addict. We're addicted to something, whether it's salt, sugar, processed chips, sodas, whatever. So we just need to have an honest conversation. It's not easy. That's why when we start something, we relapse. That's what addicts do, right?
Right.
They do good. Relapse. You start, we're in the season of Lent. You give up something, you probably ain't made it past day 3 because it's addicting. It's real. They pay people to keep us addicted. Look, they could care less about our health because they want to make the money. There is there's no profit. If I tell you, yeah, my name is Ferris and I'm a sweetaholic, and I might as well share with y'all my nickname for him is Pop Tart. If I slip up and call him Pop Tart, that's why, because he does have a sweet tooth. And for me, I tend to like crunchy, salty things on the chip side. And so I tell you my hot fries story, right? Um, I gave up everything. Like I gave up meat, I gave up sweets, but those hot fries for some reason was so hard for me to give up. I'm like, how can I give up all of this stuff and these fries got me, they got me held hostage. And finally the light bulb clicked. It's like, Tracy, if you don't buy them, you can't eat them. And that's not, and sometimes that's the only way to control it. You just can't do it. You just can't buy it. Now, if I have a taste and I want some hot fries, which I haven't had in a while, I don't look at the nutrition label. I don't, because I know when I bust that bag open, it's going down. And that's it. That's just the fact. But then I'm good for whenever. But I haven't had them in a long time. But I'm saying, so that's the way you have to approach it. If you know you're struggling with something, it don't need to come in the house. And grandparents, we love our grandbabies, but we're loving them to death. Quit giving them these little candies and treats and sodas, and they was like, because part of my business we go into the home and do a kitchen evaluation and a pantry evaluation, and you see all of this stuff, and they say, oh, no, 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 that's not for me, that's for the grandbabies. And I'm like, okay, if you got these health issues, why are we passing that on to our grandbabies?
Right.
They don't need it. I guarantee you, if you replace whatever you have and keep some fresh fruit in a bowl on the table, apples, oranges, bananas, whatever, they love. Let me tell you, especially the little toddlers, they love holding them little halos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not them, it's us. They're perfectly happy just drinking water. And apple juice, that's straight sugar. Straight sugar, that's no better than sodas. So we really have to understand. Listen, we went to a relative's house for Thanksgiving, and they know how I am. They said, "Oh, here she go." So I was just, they had like sodas and stuff. I said, "Well, just let me look, because I don't drink them, but I'll be like, well, let me just look so I can educate myself." So it was a Sprite, and I was amazed. It was 78% sugar.
Wow.
78%. So in one can, I think it was a regular 12-ounce can of soda, you're talking about 10 teaspoons of sugar. So if our children are drinking this, so even just in diet, and don't think diet sodas are zero, all of those lies in marketing, they're no better. They're probably 100 times sweeter than regular sugar, and they keep us addicted, and they have harmful replacements in there that cause cancer and all kind of things. So we really have to understand that you drinking a diet soda is no better. So you need to give those up too. Now every blue moon, okay. But if you're drinking them on a regular basis, and you have health issues, then you really need to ditch the diet sodas as well, because it's not healthy. So so okay, so that was my first thought. We cannot expect the environment that made us sick to heal us, including our own. And I think we have to recognize too that people in the healthcare field aren't healthy. A lot of people in the healthcare field are not healthy. You know, I look at a lot of the things that growing up, we didn't have obesity like we do. Even that overweight kid in the neighborhood, that overweight child in the neighborhood could keep up. He was ripping and running. He might have been a little chunky or whatever, but he was out there running and playing and things like that. So we have to take charge and accountability of our own health. We need to just go ahead, and people hate to throw stuff away. And I used to throw it away for them, but I was like, no, they need to do it themselves. So I come with my big industrial bag, and they have to do it because they're like, oh, well, let me give it away. Well, no, because that's like passing on bad karma, right? Like like it's not healthy for you, so don't pass that on to somebody else. It's just you're gonna have to take that L. Just take a loss. It's going in the trash. So just recognize that. And sometimes I'll be like, okay, especially like I do this with meat because meat costs a lot of money. I'm like, okay, go on, eat, eat this, but then don't bring any more in the house. And even when it comes to meat, look at the serving size on the back. It tells you the serving size. We're eating way too much, and I would love to come back and do a talk about chronic kidney disease, but that's a different story. Um, my second point before we leave, in order to have something you have never had before, you have to be willing to do something you have never done. This is not an easy journey. It's not, but it has to start here.
Yes.
You have to be able to do something differently if you want a different result. And it's a lot of discipline. It's a lot, and that's not perfection. I'm not talking about being perfect in your walk. None of us are perfect in their walk. So it's not about perfection, but it's about the effort and it's about the intention. So, like I tell people, if you fall off, like if you have a certain goal and you fall off, don't stay in it. The mindset is not, oh, well, I messed up. I might as well just, keep it going. No,
Right.
no. You get back on that horse immediately. Our health is too important. I'm sure you got people who love you, who are dependent on you, who need you. We all have, as far as my perspective, we all have a divine assignment that we need to be doing. And in order to do that assignment, we have to be in the best health as possible. And then if you're a caregiver, if you got children, grandchildren, like somebody is dependent on us in some kind of way. So we really need to make every effort to take care of ourselves. And when it goes back to going back to what we were talking about, as far as it's expensive to eat healthy or whatever, I was thinking about this. We don't say that when we go into the hairdresser every week or every 2 weeks, and we pay them all this money for this fake hair and these chemicals that's being absorbed in our bodies, but we don't ever complain about our beautician
That's
charging
another,
too much money.
that's another topic to come back and talk
Yes.
about hair
Yeah.
That's what
products.
I'm saying. Yeah, hair products, and in Black women especially, it's a significantly. I think it's like a 25. Well, maybe not 25%, but it's a significantly increased risk of breast cancer, specifically in
Yes,
Black women with the hair dyes and the relaxers.
exactly.
And we don't think about that. You got to remember, our skin is the biggest organ in our body, and it absorbs everything. You know, um, it also releases toxins too, but it also takes in a lot of chemicals. It's the most exposed areas of our body. So when we walk outside, when we're putting lotions on, and yeah, I got makeup on, but when we put makeup on, when we put hair products in and things like that, but it's definitely way worse when we putting that the hair dyes and the relaxer. So yeah, we definitely need to have another conversation about that. But when we get our nails done, those chemicals and stuff. You go into them nail stores, that smell immediately hits you with them chemicals and stuff like that. And a lot of women, they're going every week, every 2 weeks to get this done. And I'm seeing a trend of younger and younger, like 10, 11, 12 year olds getting they,
The using the ultraviolet light to
hmm
dry the nails.
the gel, because it's faster.
Right.
So
But
it's just,
the harm that could be we're taking on is just like being in a tanning bed.
hmm and we don't think about it because we want to look cute, which is nothing wrong with wanting to look good. There is nothing wrong with that. But we have to be mindful, and I encourage women. I went natural probably, it's probably been about what, 10 years? Well, maybe not quite 10, 8 to 10 years ago. I used to get relaxers and things like that. And then I started going on this journey. And it's like, wow, like what are we doing to ourselves? So I want to encourage you to transition, to consider transitioning to your natural hair. And even some of the hair products, are not good for us. So use, as natural as possible. So definitely don't um, start your babies. A lot of times they have that thick, beautiful hair, and we don't want to deal with it because it's so thick. But no, don't put relaxers in your baby's hair, especially their brains are still developing and things like that. So we have to be mindful of that too. Um, and my last point for the night is we have to realize that no one owes us anything, but we owe ourselves everything.
So true.
And as a veteran, as an Air Force veteran, a lot of times, we all worked in the VA system before. What them veterans want? They want that 100%. They was like, I served, and there is nothing wrong with that. But like I explained to people, once we put once we signed up, especially women, we didn't get drafted. We went in the military voluntarily, and sometimes horrible things do happen. And I do believe you need to be compensated for it. But at the same time, we went in voluntarily knowing that we could die, these things could happen, we can lose a limb, PTSD, or what have you, being exposed to whatever. But a lot of times we're looking at the benefit, like we get free education, we get this, you get insurance, you get a steady paycheck. So we're looking at it like that and really not the total picture as what can happen. So it's this kind of mentality of, okay, you owe. No, no one owes us anything, but we owe ourselves everything. And we definitely owe it to our families, especially
Right.
our babies. So I want those of you who are caregivers, especially to young babies, to realize, you know, that the them chubby little cheeks and stuff like that, that's setting them up for a short lifespan. That's setting them up to probably not live out of their 30s or 40s. So we really need to understand when we're giving them chips and candies and sodas and things like that. And that's not to say I'm not heartless. I had chips and sodas and stuff like that, but we were more active. Um, we weren't obese, and we ate healthier than not. So when we did have those things, it was truly a treat. We weren't eating them every day. This day and age, you got, okay, what y'all want tonight? Y'all want chicken? Y'all want pizza? You want Chinese? You want fish? You want that? So, and then on top of that, we think of snacks as, okay, what you want for a snack? Give them a piece of fruit for a snack, you know? and not chips and things like that. So it's just little changes like that, because we have to realize that what we put in our bodies, the majority of the time, are not even real foods. They're chemicals. They're chemical compounds. They're not even food. Food comes from the ground. Food comes from nature. Food comes from a garden. That's our food. So I want to encourage us all to get back to nature and eat healthier than not, and take those baby steps, and you'll be there before you know it. These changes aren't easy, but you can make one or two changes. I do encourage people, don't be, drive your family crazy like I did. Would I read some, oh my God, yeah. And then I throw everything out, and then I have to turn around and replace most of the stuff.
Those baby steps.
So I had to learn. Oh, they're killing us.
Yeah,
So baby steps. Make one or
yeah,
two changes. So try not to eat past 7 p.m. I think that's a good change to try to make. Make sure that you're eating more plant-based foods, um, and air fryers. I think people need to ditch them air fryers. I think they give people a false sense of security that they're eating healthier, but they're really not. Like in some ways, yes, but then because you think you're eating healthier, you tend to eat more of it, and it's usually meat of some kind. And that's where a lot of the chronic kidney disease comes from. Is too much animal product in the diet. So that's a conversation for another day. But if you can just find a way to get some activity level, increase your water intake, eat some fresh fruits and vegetables, um, go outside, commune with nature, get some fresh air and sunlight. We need sunlight. Sunlight is nutrition too. And like try not to eat past 7 o'clock. So little hacks like that over time will help. And um, as Lakeisha now knows, anything white it ain't right. So try to eliminate and don't eliminate everything at once. That would be ideal. But if you know you're struggling with potatoes or eat too many white potatoes or white rice, start with the that you're probably struggling with the most. So I would say start there, and maybe try brown rice, even though rice is rice, but try brown rice. And watch your serving size. The serving size of rice really is about 1/4 to 1/2 cup cooked, which is not a lot. And the same thing for beans, about 1/2 cup cooked. So limit those things. Maybe don't eat them every day. Like don't eat beans and rice together. That's a starch and a starch. Corn is a starch. So potatoes and corn are not vegetables; they're starches. So just understand what you're putting in your body and understand the true value of nutrition. And I think that's about all the time we have. Oh wow, it's 8:40.
all right. So
Thank you, Tracy.
we really, 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 really thank Miss Tracy for being with us tonight, and we would definitely be having her back on other topics and what have you. And if you will, I'm going to put on the screen. This is Miss Tracy's contact information. This is her contact phone number,
Mhm.
and this is her contact email address. So feel free to reach out to Miss Tracy.
Please reach out. Our health is too important. Hey, Belinda. And let me tell you about my girlfriend, Belinda, here. Thank you for joining. She has been doing such a phenomenal job. Now, a funny story before we go with Belinda, because at one point I was fully vegan, I'll say, like I gave up everything. Thank you, Lakeisha. And she would run from me. And I'm like, what is like we're friends, like, but I guess like once I made this change, she thought I was gonna kind of force people to eat high, whatever. And I'm like, no, 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 like, no, we're gonna, meet you where you are, like, and she has done phenomenal. Like the things she started off saying, I ain't gonna do that. Same thing with my husband. He was like, well, I'm a carnivore. I ain't go. I'm a manly man and stuff. And now he eats how I eat. So it's all good. We just have to sometimes allow people to be them and meet them where they are.
Yes.
and eventually you'll find that people will gravitate towards you. Like I said, the journey is not about perfection, it's about the effort and intention. And I think if we collectively agree um, that our health is worth it, we're worth it. So just baby steps, one change at a time. If you need me, you have my contact information, and I look forward to speaking to you. So thank you for this
Yes.
platform, and I love you guys for this.
And we love you too, Miss Tracy, and thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Renee.
Can we give Miss Tracy a nice round of applause? And let's
I love
also
that.
thank our project manager, Miss Deirdre Willis, for joining us tonight as well. Let's give her a round of applause.
And I
All
don't know
right.
how to do it, but you give yourself a round of applause too for doing this and for your time and everything. So you give yourself a round of applause too. You
All
deserve
right.
it.
Thank
Again, we thank Miss Tracy for being here with us tonight, and for Ms. Willis being with us tonight. We thank you, our viewing and listening audience. We thank you so much for taking time to join us.
Yes, thank
We
you.
hope that you have found this podcast tonight to be very beneficial, and that you've gained a lot of information and all the knowledge from what Ms. Tracy has presented unto us on tonight. And as I stated earlier, Miss Tracy will be back with us, and
Yes.
probably real soon.
Let's
We
say
there's
next month, maybe the end of
a
next
lot of
month or so.
topics that we're going to be having coming forward, and we're just excited about Health Talk. And as we say, Health Talk is a part of He Cares Training and Education Center, where yours truly is the program uh, manager, and Miss Deirdre Willis, who's on the podcast with us tonight. She is our project manager. All right. Again, thank you, Miss Tracy, from the bottom of our heart. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Join us again for our next podcast here on Health Talk. We will provide you with information regarding our next podcast. And we thank you so much. So get the word out. Tell everybody about
Please
Health
share.
Talk.
This
Pass the
is
word
so
along.
important.
We've got some exciting things coming up. And as you know, and as I stated, Miss Tracy will be back with us on several occasions, because there's a lot to discuss in the area of health, health education, and health information. And as she said earlier, um, one of the things, or one of the means of bringing about change is education. And
Education.
that's why we have this platform here for you, to provide you with education and information to make those lifestyle changes and those lifestyle modifications that would be beneficial to your overall health. And as she said, the holistic approach of being healthy. And it all starts right up here. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us tonight. And we look forward to seeing you at our next podcast. Until then, may God bless you and continue to stay healthy. God bless you, and we'll see you all at the next broadcast. God bless.
God bless. Good night, everybody.